All right, presenting an acquisition for scrutiny plus a roll-up strategy in the digital infrastructure services space. And I'll define, what digital infrastructure is about as we go through this. So it'll be just me, but I am partnered with Sean Bressler, who you all know and love. He's busy in the business that he and Brian Cow acquired a few months ago. He'll be a minority partner with me, and I'll explain his role as we go through this. All right, so specialty construction licensed general contractor based in the Southwest. They do cell site construction. We're all familiar with cell sites. Electrical contracting, generator installation and maintenance services for the wireless industry, serving wireless carriers. You all know because you all have cell phones, primarily Verizon, T-Mobile, third-party infrastructure owner operators. These are multi-billion-dollar REITs, American Tower, Crown Castle, Vertical Bridge, and several others. It's 25 years old this year. Current owner acquired from the founder in 2016, is selling because she got in a nasty car wreck almost exactly a year ago. 13 employees. The owner is semi-active. She's a tough one. She still gets involved in some site visits and estimating, which we'll handle through the acquisition and the logistics to follow. Includes fleet and equipment, which is mostly trucks and test equipment. No real estate. They lease a pretty good-sized area for a reasonable lease. We're going through what the terms are and renewals. So here is the deal. So we've negotiated. So $1,850,000 purchase price, $1,575,000 cash at close. The owner had intended, she plowed a lot of cash, just retained it in cash, was going to take it all out. So we negotiated $200K working capital and to leave in the business in cash, and a $275K seller note at 7% for 7 years. All right. I can't see my title, so I don't know what that says. All right. So the performance. So last year they did $4.3 million in revenue, 852 discretionary earnings, 702K adjusted EBITDA. And the last 3 years, 2021 was actually worse than 2020 for many construction services due to COVID. This is not a business that AI is going to affect in any substantial way because it's field-based, very labor intensive. So COVID had a pronounced effect, plus bottlenecks in equipment, a lot of which is shipped from Southeast Asia, primarily South Korea, where the OEMs source a lot of the gear, cable, couplers, and all that good stuff. So I trend lined this out to 10 years, both in revenue to look at, well, my fanciness here. So 4.3 is last year, 5-year targets on revenue. We're looking to double that. These are probably conservative, by the way, 15% per year CAGR, and then top $1 million in adjusted EBITDA. Probably too conservative, and having Sean take a look at my assumptions when I put this together. So consider this under construction. So far this year, she's already booked $4.2 million in awards to date. So things could be looking even better for 2024, but we're not there yet. All right. So what is this digital infrastructure? This is what makes the whole system of, devices that we all have, 2, 3, 4 of each in our hands, in our homes, through cellular networks, Wi-Fi in cases, which is a part of the digital infrastructure landscape. But we're familiar with cell towers. Rooftop sites predominate. The one on the left is a hospital. The other one on the right is stealthed. My favorite, hidden in plain sight, stealth sites. So they try to make a tower look like a tree, or they look okay out here in California as palm trees, but they're not worth as much. Small cells, so hundreds of thousands of small cell nodes. This one's in front of the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Nashville, that little bulb on top of a pole. just cover a small footprint for high capacity. There's a lot of data floating around the air in these cellular networks. In building networks, the photos upper right, that is from Cowboy Stadium. Those are matzing balls. They can pinpoint sections of sections, which each ball for super high capacity video streaming, et cetera. This stuff is everywhere. Okay, most of it hidden in plain sight. Most of these networks are hidden totally because they comprise of fiber and servers that we never see. There's a lot of fiber extension to rural areas, but also in suburban, urbanized area to provide wireless broadband to the home and to the premise. And then edge data centers. So think of all the commerce going on and think of what AI is going to do in terms of driving low latency requirements for robotics, for smart city applications, for driverless cars, et cetera. All that data has to be processed closer to where the data is being utilized over the air. So that's where edge data comes in, just smaller data centers. And they're high dollar value and high value in general. So I'm looking at the tail end of the development process where it's more predictable. So the construction services, installation of the equipment, site testing is a huge component of this. Maintenance and upgrades. Think it's set it and forget it, but these things are constantly requiring maintenance and upgrades, which swapping out equipment, radios, and other cabling and devices on these cell sites is just ongoing. Well, I think about what could go wrong. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Good thing not that. All right, so the US market, there's a lot of cell sites out there. So cell towers we're familiar with, but macro cells, those are, the larger antennas and stuff that typically stealth on rooftops all over the place. Small cell nodes, these numbers keep going up. And then indoor small cell and DAS nodes. So a lot of the capacity that we require on 4G and 5G networks, 80% of calls and data sessions on your cell phone and tablet devices happen indoors, as we know. So it's hovering around $13.1 billion for wireless. The construction services only was growing about 2% CAGR. That's slowed down to about 1.4%. Some of the activity is shoving over to broadband to the home, which is really the only segment of 5G that's making any money for carriers at this time. So it moves around a little bit. The industry, we're just at the beginning, third inning, fourth inning of 5G. And as you see, each subsequent G kind of goes through cycles. This is the aggregate carrier CapEx spent on network infrastructure. So last year was about $27 billion, and it'll trend back upwards. So it can be affected by things like AI that are going to ratchet it up, but we shall see. So 2022 is a banner year, as you see. So it ebbs and flows, and we're buying at this time in a bit of a down cycle. All right, so who is the team that is up for this? Well, looks like it's a job for Superman. So we got Sean, Superman Bressler, handsome fella, and then yours truly. Okay, here's the real team. Sean Bressler, 30 years in organizational development, logistics with Fortune 500 companies. He is going to support me through the transaction, having been a pro as a coach, very good for me, and also sophisticated organizational development as we grow this company and bolt on others, which is a strategy. I've got 30 years of senior leadership experience, but 24 years in the wireless infrastructure business. So that's not on the services end, that's building the networks, mostly in business development. Okay, so I want to show you how the money flows, where the business fits in the industry. So we're all familiar with, the wireless carriers. Cable companies are starting to enter, mostly using other, carrier networks, but they may start to build out more of their own infrastructure. These companies are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. That's where the CapEx flows through the ecosystem. There are large tower companies, equipment manufacturers, infrastructure, real estate investment trusts, and then infrastructure and utility services business. Now, these are, ones to hundreds of billions of dollars, a lot of public and private companies at that order of magnitude. And then it flows to regional and national turnkey service providers, integrated specialty service providers, typically 10 to hundreds of hundreds of millions of dollars. So I'm looking at the bottom tier for the dollars, to be able to get into the business, focused on specialty services. And the idea, these are typically, in the low ones to tens of millions of dollars, and can be bolted on for geographic expansion and then vertically integrated to move up and become to be able to position for more turnkey service contracts. And that's how you up the value of the business. And there's some proof in some of the companies in the space that have gotten a significant amount of private equity investment to do these kind of bolt-ons and roll-ups. And I'll get to that. So first step is organic growth, expand to customers, territory. That's where I'm going to come in, Sean, you create more operational efficiencies, extensions into more fiber construction, EV charging, potentially commercial solar, distributed infrastructure. The skill sets are similar and can be extended. And there are a lot of companies in the wireless space, construction space looking to do that. And then I really like edge data. Sophisticated real estate is what it is, and not a lot of people know how to do it well. Big construction firms are getting into it. So the bolt-ons I've already described to diversify, integrate, move up the value chain, focused on specialty service, service extensions and acquisition targets, as I've described. Okay, smart cities is another one where, the integration of infrastructure to do stuff in an automated way with over-the-air connectivity that is going to be part and parcel with it, that is requiring security that Wi-Fi just cannot provide, where cellular networks are in a unique position because they're inherently encrypted. All right, so from a timetable, in the first 1 to 2 years, maybe immediately, I'm open to equity partner to fund acquisitions, growth, sales, and systems. Definitely for bolt-ons. I will be looking for equity partners, maybe for this acquisition to the tune of, call it $200K for the 10%. And then my thoughts are an initial exit to bring in new equity, partial exit. I'd like to retain equity and take a more strategic role in acquisitions and corporate development, because I know the space and I know the players. And then 8 to 12, have a secondary buyout, take everyone out, full exit. So that is the plan, and it kind of works together to grow this and exit. So I think I touched on the numbers here. This just breaks them out a little bit more. I did an average EBITDA that just looked at the last 2 years. The bank is probably going to weight them, as I understand. COVID had a lot of problems. Into 2021 was actually worse for a lot of companies. This owner did better in a COVID year than a lot of businesses that rely on being able to pull permits at a time where you couldn't go in to pull a permit. You couldn't go into the offices to pull permits in many cases. So she did pretty well. But these are how they shake out. The mud score is high because she needs to get out. We built a ton of value. They've had 2 offers that were rejected from people that, are in the acquisition space, in the construction space, but they don't know the wireless space. So that's where, I was able to create the impression that we're going to take care of her employees. I'm going to be able to grow the business because I know the business. So I'm going to leave it there. It is a broker deal, I should say. It is an S corporation. It is a stock deal because there's a lot of risk doing an asset deal that renegotiating contracts with companies like Verizon, they're going to want to renegotiate. So she has negotiated set pricing for a lot of the construction milestones. So it creates a level of predictability when scoping and bidding work.